Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pennsylvania Association for College Admission Counseling Keystone Virtual College Exploration. This program is a partnership between PACAC and StriveScan for all Pennsylvania students. My name is Liz Frasini. I'm a college counselor at Wyoming Seminary, and I'm also the College Fairs Chair for PACAC. I'm excited to welcome you tonight, and a few housekeeping tips before we get started. This is the webinar feature of Zoom, so your camera and microphone will be muted for the duration of the program. If you have questions for the presenters, you should enter them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and they'll make sure to get to those questions throughout the presentation. Additionally, you signed up for today's session at the PACAC website. If you'd like to view additional sessions in our program, you can do so at www.pacac.org/virtual. You can also view a recording of this session and every other through November 6th at that same website. And without further ado, I will turn it over to the presentation for this evening.
Thank you. So first, I'm just gonna share my screen. Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Willis, and I'm the Associate Director of Freshman Admissions at Massachusetts Maritime Academy. So to jump right in, some brief kind of quick facts about us. We are located in Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts, which is right along the Cape Cod Canal. We're about an hour directly south of Boston, or about 45 minutes from Providence, Rhode Island. We have about 1,700 undergraduate students, so we are a relatively small school. We're a public university of Massachusetts, so we're part of the state university system here, but we're designated as a special mission college and are also a state maritime academy. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means, but we're one of 6 state maritime academies in the country. So really, we just offer a very specialized set of academic programs, which I will go over in a minute. But from a larger perspective, we offer a STEM-based education and a regimented campus lifestyle. So the education you're receiving is definitely unique in terms of what our majors are, but the campus life is definitely unique in the sense that we are regimented, which is a pseudo-military style atmosphere that exists on campus. But I will talk a little bit more about that soon. And we do have 15 Division III varsity athletic teams. So even though we're this, small, unique kind of niche school, we do also have traditional things like athletic programming. So first, I want to start by just covering academics. We have 7 undergraduate programs. They're all Bachelor of Science degrees. You can see them listed on the screen here. 2 of these programs are for students to earn a U.S. Coast Guard license, which allows you to work out on large ships like the one in my virtual background. And the other 5 programs are more focused on shoreside jobs in the maritime industry. We have plenty of students working in non-maritime related fields. So you can see there on the bottom, careers on land and at sea. A lot of times people hear maritime and they assume everyone has to work out on the ships. And while we do have programming that is specific to that career path, we also have a lot of students pursuing other types of careers, either from land in the maritime industry or in other areas altogether. What ties all of our academic programs together is really a focus in STEM. So science and math is a really big base of the curriculum in all of these majors, as well as a learn, do, learn philosophy. What that means is our students spend time in the classroom, learning the theory, using the textbooks, then they go out and apply that in a hands-on setting, and then they come back to the classroom to review that hands-on experience. There's sort of 3 different levels of the hands-on experience that you're getting. The first is going to be on campus as part of your coursework through labs on campus, simulators, research opportunities that we have on campus, things that you're doing right here with us. Then experiential learning trips, which students are going off campus out into the world, but with a cohort of students in their program. And then students all complete co-ops or internships as part of their major. And so that's the 3rd step. Now you're out sort of individually in a real life setting, getting hands-on experience. I'm just going to briefly go through what each of our, since we only have 7 majors, we're able to sort of talk about them individually. And I know they're really unique in nature. So to give you an idea of what these are, marine engineering and marine transportation are the 2 programs that I mentioned that lead to a bachelor's degree as well as a U.S. Coast Guard license. Engineering is to earn a license to be a third assistant engineer, unlimited horsepower, and transportation is to be a third mate, unlimited tonnage. So both of those, the unlimited part means that you can work on any size vessel and you can work anywhere in the ocean. The license that you're receiving is also higher level in the trajectory of like the hierarchy on ships. So it allows you to earn in sort of upper level work right from the start of your career. Engineering is you're in the ship's engine room, you're overseeing all the systems that help the ship continue working. You know, it has its engine, obviously, but then it's plumbing, it's electrical, all of those systems that exist within the ship. Transportation is to be a deck officer. So that's more focused on deck maintenance, navigation, the more of the driving of the ship, so to speak. These students are the students that are most likely to work in shipping, at least initially in their careers. So these have the at-sea careers, but there are other paths available too. We've seen some students from transportation end up switching over to the logistics and business side, working from land. Students in engineering build a really strong set of skills that can be applied in mechanical or electrical or facilities engineering, or in something like naval architecture. So when you choose one of these programs, you're not bound to exclusively a life at sea. There's plenty of ways to apply the work in these fields to other options as well. The hands-on learning that is sort of the most notable hands-on learning that you're doing in these two programs is sea term and commercial shipping. So sea term happens on our training ship. Students go out for about 6 weeks each year. And the commercial shipping trip is the internship experience that students do in their junior year. It's about the same time as sea term, but students go on and have a placement on a functioning vessel somewhere in the world. A little bit more on the sea term. This is our training ship, the TS Kennedy. So this is typically docked right on our campus. Students actually use it during the semester as well. So sea term isn't the only time you're going to be on board, but that's the time where it's leaving campus. So like I said, about 6 weeks, typically in January and February, our students often sail down to the Caribbean. So usually it's 3 to 4 international ports that they stop at, and then 1 domestic port, which is typically in Florida, either Tampa or Miami. While you're on board, you do coursework. We do have classroom space and computer labs and stuff on campus, but you're also spending a lot of time doing the hands-on work. So if you're transportation, you're up in the bridge, you're helping with the welding and painting for ship maintenance, you're getting in your watch standing hours. If you're an engineer, you're down in the engine room. And this is time at sea that's working towards your Coast Guard license, as well as getting you the hands-on experience and opportunity to apply the skills that you've learned in the classroom. You also get to have fun. The ports that students stop at this past year, they went to Costa Rica, Curacao, Panama, and Tampa. At each one of those places, there is time where you're docked and you have liberty and you get to go explore that place. So it's a really fun experience as well as an academic one. Facilities and energy systems engineering are the 2 other engineering programs that we have. Facilities engineers essentially design and oversee how systems within a large building or other type of facility work together. Energy systems is focused on the design and implementation of systems that distribute electrical power. But the focus is largely on sustainable energy systems. So things like wind energy, solar energy, current energy, as well as taking new sustainable energy sources and fitting them into distribution systems that already exist. So how do we kind of fuse our current electrical system with new forms of power? Facilities also has a strong focus in sustainable energy management, environmental and occupational health and safety, so the proper use of equipment, as well as overseeing that systems are designed with those protocols in mind. Both of these are definitely unique forms of engineering, but focus on skills that are the basics of a more commonly seen type of engineering. So you're building really strong skills in mechanical, electrical, and industrial engineering. Basically, these 2 are pulling small pieces of each one of those 3. So what that means for how you're applying it, we have a lot of students who work in these specific fields as graduates from the program, but also if you wanted to end up pursuing a master's degree in mechanical engineering or get a job in industrial engineering, you would still have the qualifications to do that. Basically, this is a really, really unique approach to engineering. You can always zoom out if you need to, but now you've studied this sort of unique approach and twist of these skills. Emergency management is actually our largest non-licensed program. And based on the current pandemic, you can imagine why this is something currently in demand. Emergency management is essentially disaster planning, preparedness, and response. There's a lot of different ways that this can be applied. The most obvious way to think of EM is FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They're probably the most well-known. They're often known for responding to natural disasters that happen, really big ones that happen throughout the country. But many states, counties, even specific towns have their own emergency management agencies or boards. Many hospitals, school districts, private businesses where risk assessment is important are all ways that EM can be applied as well. So there's a lot of different options in how to do this work. We've also had a lot of students who apply it by going into law enforcement, fire safety, or emergency medicine. So there's a lot of opportunities for different ways that you may apply this. It's also a fast growing field. More and more types of industries or types of businesses are discovering that they have a need for emergency managers. So it's a growing field right now. And there's not a ton of specialized emergency management programs out there. So to have a very specific education in this field is really helpful to get started in that type of career. We have a new emergency management simulator that just opened on campus this fall. And basically it's a replicated emergency operations center. So in the event of a large disaster, this is the type of space that students would be working in the real world. And we've replicated that on campus for students to have that hands-on experience with us. International maritime business, this is essentially the logistics of the shipping industry. So the shipping industry, about 90% of goods travel by ship at some point in their transportation. And the maritime industry is the 5th largest industry, like economic industry in the world. So this is a lot of money that we're talking about with goods moving from point A to point B. And we need to have business folks to oversee all of that. So maritime business includes supply chain management, admiralty law, cargo insurance, all the different aspects of those goods and services being transported. So these students are most likely going into careers that are land-based, things like port logistics, marina management, space capacity planning are all types of careers that our students can pursue. Similar to those engineering programs, this is starting with basics in business skills and business theories, but applying them in this more specialized industry approach. So again, we have had students who go on to work in non-maritime versions of business, and they're still able to use their educations and their experiences to do that, but they're also uniquely qualified to work in this particular part of the business world. Marine science, safety, and environmental protection. It's a very long name, I know, but this is essentially a combination of marine biology and environmental science. It's a very practical approach to marine science. Our students do a lot of hands-on work. We have an aquaculture lab on campus where students are able to participate in research. We've also had federal or state agencies come to campus and help use our location to do research, and our students are able to assist with that. For example, in the last fall into winter semester, our NOAA was actually on campus doing a research project on ocean acidification in the area, and our students were able to partner with them on that. Environmental protection and management, sort of the policy and advocacy side, is the other large piece of this program. So we often see students kind of either go into the research, hands-on, like fieldwork kind of route, or go more into the policy protection or enforcement of policy by being an environmental officer or a safety officer, that type of thing. So a lot of different ways that this can be applied. What's great is that you can start working right away. This isn't the type of marine science program where you're only bound for a graduate program. You could certainly do that, but you're also prepared to start working in the field right away too. Graduate programs, so we do offer 3 master's degrees in emergency management, facilities management, and maritime business management. They're all taught in an executive format, which means that students actually go to class every other weekend, Friday night and Saturday. So most students in the program do work a full-time job in addition to completing this coursework. The real reason we bring it up for students still in high school is just to let you know that we do offer a 4+1 program, which means that you can start taking you can apply for the 4+1, start taking some graduate classes in your senior year, and then wrap those up in a 5th year, which can save you time and money. But it doesn't prevent you from starting your career when you are finished with your undergrad. Not anything you have to decide at the point that you're applying as an undergraduate student. You actually have until the end of your junior year to decide if this is something that you want to do. And you don't need to be in the corresponding undergraduate program. So you don't need to be in the emergency management undergraduate program to apply for that as your 4+1 path in the graduate degree. So aside from academics, the other biggest part about us, like I said, is the regimented experience. So students on campus participate in the Regiment of Cadets, which is very similar to the military. Students wear uniforms, the day-to-day life is relatively structured, but our students do not have a service obligation. So you're not joining the military by coming to Mass Maritime, and you have no obligation to do so. We do have commissioning options available for students that would like to pursue them, but again, it's entirely optional. So why do we have the regiment in place? We know that this is very unique. We know that it won't be for everyone. But students in our Coast Guard licensing programs, it's actually required that they be a part of a regiment of cadets in order to earn that license, which is our original purpose for having it. The reason why we have all of our students participate in this program is really for the skill development. So the regiment is designed for you to build leadership skills, management skills, time management skills, self-discipline skills, things that are going to be really valuable to you in any career path that you end up going into. So our feeling is really that everyone has something to learn from this experience. It's meant to turn your day-to-day campus life into a piece of your academic program. So this is something for you to put on your resume to add to your overall experience and do something that goes above and beyond just your classroom or internship experiences, but really gives you a unique leadership approach. The first year is going to be the most structured, and then your remaining 3 years get increasingly less structured. You earn new privileges each year. That's sort of the setup. Your first year is a lot about being a good follower so that your next 3 years can be about being a good leader. And that's sort of the overall approach to the regiment. So why do people choose this? Like I said, we know it's unique and we know it's not for everyone. And it's probably different from other schools that you're even looking at. So typically students that come to Mass Maritime and are excited about the regiment are ones who already know that they thrive in a structured environment. Maybe you've just had a really busy schedule in high school, you've been involved in a lot of things. Maybe you're just really drawn to leadership opportunities. You've been a team captain for your football or field hockey or whatever other team. And you know that that experience is what's really exciting to you. That's typically what we see in terms of why students are choosing this experience. We certainly understand that that type of structured environment is not for everyone. So we encourage you to, come to an event like this to hear more, or when we're able to have you come to campus, talk to our current cadets, learn what you can about the regiment in advance so that you know that you're making a choice that's going to be the right fit for you. And we certainly know that you might do that and decide that's not for me, but you might also discover that that's going to be the best environment for you to be really successful. Just to give you an idea of some common high school extracurriculars that we see, none of these are required. These are just to give you an indicator of like the type of student that's often choosing this experience. We have a lot of students who have been involved in junior ROTC, Sea Cadets, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, have got their Eagle Scout credentials, have been involved in athletics or team captains, like I said. Those are some of the common things that we see as preparing students for this type of experience, or an indicator that they know that this is going to be a good fit. Commissioning options, like I said, military service is not at all a requirement, but some students do want to pursue that. We do have a naval science program that students can apply to. It's called the Strategic Sea Lift Midshipman Program. It's a branch of the Navy ROTC. It's available to students in marine transportation or marine engineering. We also have a traditional Army ROTC program on campus that any students are able to participate in. And all of our students are eligible for MARGRAD, which is a Coast Guard commissioning program available to students who are graduates of state maritime academies. That one's not something you actually participate in while you're on campus. It's something you would apply for in the months leading up to or right after your graduation, but is a really good option considering the Coast Guard has a limited number of direct commissioning options like that. So aside from the regiment, we do have other things happening on campus. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we do have Division III varsity athletics. These are all the teams right there. We do also have a variety of club and intramural sports. Most notably, we have a club ice hockey team and a club rugby team. Both of those actually compete intercollegiately. So you're still at a pretty high level of competition, even though it's a club sport. We also have a great student government association who oversees about 30 different other clubs and organizations on campus. Those clubs and organizations range from a Coast Guard auxiliary to a future engineers club to a beekeeping club. So we've got a lot of different opportunities, some of them academic, some of them not. Our students also have opportunities to participate in fun events on campus. It's not all structure all the time. We have a great Emery Rice Day, which is sort of a field day that happens on campus every spring. Pop-up events that happen throughout the year where we bring food trucks to campus. Attached to Emery Rice Day is typically a spring event, something like a comedian or a concert that happens. In our residence halls, we have a student lounge that's sponsored by the SGA, as well as a game room on campus. And what's great is that all of those things, so those different, lounge spaces or being involved in student government is not tied to your regimental standing. So you don't have to earn the privilege to be involved in any of these things. You can get involved with student government. You can even start your own club right from day one. So this is designed to, give you pieces of a traditional campus experience in conjunction with the regiment. So even though your day-to-day life is really dominated by that regimental experience, you still have a lot of these fun events mixed in and still the opportunity to get involved in other ways on campus. So outcomes, why do people come to Mass Maritime? Our first year retention rate is about 90%. So even though that initial transition can certainly be challenging, as it actually is at many universities, once students get through that initial adjustment, they tend to stick around. Our average career placement rate is about 90% within 3 to 6 months of graduation. And our average starting salary is about $63,000. So our students are definitely doing well. It is, like I said, unique. It's a lot of hard work, but it definitely pays off on the other side. And our 6-year graduation rate is 73%, which is actually the highest of all the Massachusetts public universities. So similar to that first year retention, once you get through that initial adjustment, students do typically stay. We do a great job of keeping them on track and making sure they're coming out that other side with a degree. So from an admission standpoint, what type of student are we looking for? Our average GPA is about a 3.1 to 3.2, like a solid B. Our average SAT is about a 1050 to 1100, which is about a 22-23 on the ACT. We will be test optional this year, and I'll touch on that more on the next slide. But these averages are just to give you an idea of historically what the midpoint on those test scores has been. We've always placed a higher emphasis on GPA, course selection, academic rigor, the trajectory of your grades throughout high school. Those are always things that we've looked at, but now with the test optional policy will be even more so what we're focusing on. We definitely want to see strength in your math and science classes, since, like I said, that's the biggest part of our curriculum on campus. It's not a requirement, but we would strongly recommend taking either pre-calculus or calculus in your senior year if that's available to you. Like I said, not a requirement, we would just recommend that. And energy systems engineering and emergency management are our most competitive programs, largely due to space capacity reasons. There's no separate averages for those. I just include that piece of information so that you know it exists. When you apply to Mass Maritime, you actually choose a first choice and second choice program. So let's say you're applying to energy systems engineering, you can choose another type of engineering as your second choice or a different major altogether, and we'll always review you for the second choice if we decide that you're not able to be admitted to that first choice program. In terms of the application process, we are on the common application, so you can certainly apply that way. We do have a separate online application as well, if you would prefer. We don't have any preference either way, so whichever one's going to be easier for you. We just require, in addition to the application, your high school transcript, a personal essay. The Common App essay is fine, there's no additional one. 2 letters of recommendation, and like I said, SAT or ACT scores are optional. Right now, we are only optional for next year for students applying for fall 2021. We do not have a definitive decision yet about future years. So if you're a junior, check back with us. If you have the opportunity to test, I would recommend it just so that you have the test scores. But hopefully will be test optional beyond just next year. When we say optional, we really do mean it. These scores will not disadvantage you if you don't submit them in the application process or in merit scholarship review. We know many people have not even been able to test at all, especially in our home state. In Massachusetts, many students have not. So we don't want that to be something that you're worrying about. Our early action deadline is November 15th. If you apply by then, it just guarantees that you'll get a decision from us by December 7th. And then after that, we just move into regular rolling admission with a priority deadline of February 15th, which is priority for merit scholarship review. And then our absolute final deadline for consideration for the fall semester is April 15th. So costs and scholarships. Our tuition fees, room and board and everything for out-of-state students is just about $40,000 per year. There are additional costs to consider for C-term, your first year experiential learning trip, the internships and co-ops that you may do in the winter semester where you're earning credits, so you pay for the credits for those. So typically I would tell students that 45 is going to be a better estimate of your yearly costs. But just tuition fees, room and board, that's the 40, and then expect about an additional 5 in other things for the winter term. We do have merit scholarships available. You don't need to apply separately for those. You'll be automatically reviewed for them as part of the admissions process. Those range from $8,000 to $15,000 for out-of-state students. We do also have need-based aid available. So if you haven't already and you're a senior, I strongly recommend submitting your FAFSA or starting to work on it. That's the free application for federal student aid. You don't even need to know where you're applying yet to start working on the FAFSA. You can start working on it now and then add schools later as you need to. But that will allow you to be reviewed for need-based aid at the federal level. So those federal grants or loans that you may be eligible for at many institutions, we do also have need-based aid available directly from Mass Maritime. And a number of our returning students are able to earn additional scholarships. So we have some scholarships that are sponsored by people in the industry or companies, and they're designated for currently enrolled students. It's hard to make any sort of decision based off this information. It's just to let you know that if you come to Mass Maritime and you're doing well, there is opportunity for additional scholarship aid along the way. So if you want to learn more about us, this I know gave you some good information, but it was a pretty high level overview. If you're interested in learning more, we have a variety of virtual programming happening right now throughout the fall. General info sessions, which would be very similar to what I just went through. We have a virtual open house series, cadet chats where you can register to talk with a current cadet, and we'll try and match you based off the major that you're interested in or where you're from, different things like that. Personal interviews, if you want, I'm the counselor for Pennsylvania, so your personal interview would most likely be with me, but if you want to set up a one-on-one conversation, we can certainly do that. And we've already been involved and have more coming up, a variety of collaborative panels, recordings of which are available through the PACAC website. So the one where website for this, which you'll get the link to that at the end. Again, we actually have a maritime panel coming up. We'll be partnering with SUNY Maritime and Maine Maritime to talk about the Maritime Academy experience in general. That's coming up next week. So a lot of opportunities to learn more about Mass Maritime, as well as some bigger picture ideas and hear from our faculty, staff, current cadets. And that's just our website. If you want to find any information about that virtual programming, it's available right on our website. And that is all I have for you tonight. This is contact information for the Office of Admissions, so just our general contact information, as well as my specific contact information. And I certainly encourage you to reach out anytime. I know that this is a stressful year to be applying to college, and a stressful year to be a senior. So we want to be flexible. We want to be transparent with you. So definitely reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I really enjoyed listening to your presentation, and thank you for everyone who joined us tonight. There is a quick 4-question survey for those of you who are joining us live. And if you'd like to view our full schedule through November 6th, or view recordings from any sessions, including tonight's, you can do so at www.pacac.org/virtual. Thanks so much. Have a great night.